Hello everyone, my name is Crystal and today I'm going to be talking to you about everybody's favorite subject, money. Now, I'm going to be using a phrase during this little talk that I use quite often. In fact, there's going to be a couple of little phrases. One of them, especially as it pertains to this particular subject, is nature must have balance. This is basically one of the most important laws of nature is there always must be balance. As we know in nature, a lot of what happens, what goes on, what occurs relates to a basic law of cause and effect. So we're going to get into that basically just kind of scratching the surface as it pertains to money. Another phrase that I use quite often that pertains to everything as far as I'm concerned and really relates to how the universe functions is we must take care of each other. Okay? So, let's get started with this whole idea of nature needing to have balance. What this basically means is when it comes to cause and effect, you're seeing energy going out. Energy must return. It's a balance. We got to keep those scales balanced. Now, when it comes to how we function in society and how we meet our physical needs, there is always an energy exchange that takes place. And it takes many different forms. Just for an example, you get a service for a service. You exchange goods for goods. You can exchange goods for services. You can exchange your services for goods, vice versa. The same thing goes when it comes to money. When you introduce money into the equation, what you have happening here is you are exchanging money for services or money for goods. So now the way things that used to work in ancient times, when money was something that was quite scarce, it was the norm to pay for things with either the exchange of some type of goods or services, depending on the situation. One thing that a lot of people would do as well is you could do work for the individual that you owed. So you would be working off your debt. So quite often what you would see is people would exchange either goods for other goods or services for goods or goods for services, that sort of thing. And this is how things kept balanced. Okay? And it's very, very important to remember that this is something that happened when money was a scarce commodity. Well, once things changed and money became something that was readily produced, and society started leaning towards being able to use money to exchange in the place of like bringing somebody a goat or bringing somebody a blanket or whatever. There was a very huge shift in society as a whole. And I'm not a historian, so don't quote me, but I think a lot of it came about from the Industrial Revolution is where things really, really took a big, huge shift because now things became manufactured, and money is one of those things that was really easily and readily manufactured as well. So here you are in this society today where you can't just walk into a bank and pay your mortgage with a chicken, okay? And you can't pay your power bill with a blanket. And wouldn't that be nice? Especially for those of us who are very crafty, and for those of us who own firms, you know, and where money sometimes still feels a little scarce. All right. So, because of this, our society is very centered around the use of money. Now, I'm going to say some things that are going to piss off a lot of people, especially people like religious teachers or spiritual teachers who insist that you never, ever charge for spiritual or religious teachings. Okay. Nature still has to have balance. Therefore, an energy exchange still has to occur. Okay, and here's some things that you got to keep in mind. And this is where the whole metaphysics of things comes in. Money itself is not evil. Money is not the root of all evil. And money is not tainted or corrupted. It's just another form of energy. Now, money is considered green energy, which means that it represents that tangible earthly realm. This is how we care for our material needs. Okay, and we must care for our material needs. We live in this physical realm. We live in physical bodies. Okay, we need a roof over our head. We need food in our bellies. We need clothing on our bodies. There's other creature comforts and so on. I could get into a long list of things that we need physically as physical beings. You know, right there. Yes. And if you've got pets like this cute little fella here, you got to take care of them as well. Okay? Money itself only serves one purpose. It is to be exchanged for goods and services. That's its only purpose. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that you have to spend every dime you have. There is still a balance that has to be maintained when it comes to money as well. There's a certain amount that you put away for certain purposes. You know, you've got to save it up because some purchases or some exchanges take a lot of money. And if you're only getting it coming in as a little trickle, there's got to be a balance of where, okay, here's what needs to be paid out immediately. Here's what needs to be paid out later. We've got to put X amount of way to be able to pay for yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that's actually a discussion for another day. When we get into, you know, how to work with money and to be able to make it work for us. Because remember, it's an energy and it's an energy exchange. Okay, so here's what you got to remember as well. Every service that we provide has value. That includes teaching. Teaching takes energy and resources. Just look at our education system. You'll see it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of resources. I know quite a few teachers, like in the school system, and wow, the amount of time and energy goes far beyond the classroom that they sit in. But I mean, I'm not talking just about teachers in our education system. I'm talking about your spiritual teachers as well. I'm talking about people who run their own at-home class or anyone who rents a space so that they can provide this type of education for other people. Okay? Now, nature recognizes this energy output, okay? And therefore, of course, because nature recognizes it, it recognizes the need for the remuneration. Okay, these people who are giving are putting that energy out, are pouring that energy out. So in order to balance the equation, that energy has to come back. Now, nature's going to automatically take care of things. But remember, we are a part of nature. And it is up to us as the recipients of that energy to provide remuneration. Now here's where it gets tricky. Does it always go back to the original provider? Okay? Nature really doesn't care where the energy comes from, as long as the equation is balanced. So, teacher puts energy out, universe ensures that the energy come back. Remember, we are part of nature. So, what this is saying here is you have choice. You can give to the individual who gave to you, or you can pay it forward. Remember that lovely little phrase that gained a lot of popularity? Pay it forward. You can still do that. Or you can give it to the individual who gave to you. You have that choice. And here's where you really got to pay attention. You should never, ever be ashamed to give to the teacher who gave you something valuable. And here's where it gets really, really hard on the end of the teachers. Okay, especially those religious and spiritual teachers. All right, never, ever be ashamed to receive remuneration for the valuable gifts that you give to others. Because this is nature fulfilling its purpose. People who try to shame you for receiving money for your services do not understand the intimacies of your life in relation to nature. Okay? And besides, they're not qualified to judge you. Always remember, nature is in charge. And those who run scams will always be taught a harsh lesson by Mother Nature. Okay? Now, I'm going to get a little personal here. Okay? I'm human. I've gone through a number of struggles over my lifetime. One is being judgmental. The only time that it is okay to be judgmental is when I'm deciding what's right for me. That applies to everyone. The only time you should be judgmental is when you are trying to decide what is right for you, for me, for myself. From that point of view, when you're thinking of yourself and you're seeing and you're watching other people and their behavior and what you're doing, you are not judging the individual, you are judging the behavior and saying, does that work for me? Do I believe that that type of behavior is right for my life and my lifestyle? That's the only time that term judging should ever come in. Okay, and let me tell you, I know that it is not easy to stop judging other people's behavior. Okay, I just have to remind myself, I don't know what happened in their life to bring them to that point. Not only that, once again, I'm not qualified. None of us are really qualified to judge other people in their lives simply because we haven't lived it. We haven't lived their lives. Okay? All right. Now, the other struggle that I've had a really big time with has been the ability to receive. This is really tough considering that horrible phrase, it is better to give than to receive. This is one that has been drilled into my head since I was old enough to speak. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure that there are a lot of other people running around out there who have heard this phrase over and over and over again to the point of ridiculousness. Now, I'm going to point out this phrase's most fatal flaw. In order to give, someone must receive. Giving and receiving has equal value. Just because you give to somebody does not mean that you are better than the receiver. Okay? Doesn't work that way. It's better to give than to receive? Come on. That's ridiculous. You have to have somebody there to receive. Not only that, they have to be willing to receive. Guess what? We are all worthy of receiving, just as we are all worthy of giving. Okay? Nothing that happens within this world occurs in a perfect vacuum. Okay? Everything must exist in the equation of cause and effect. When you receive something that has value to you, you are fulfilling the laws of nature by giving that value back, whether you give it to the original sender or you give it to someone else. So I encourage you to give and receive in equal measure. Accept graciously what is given to you. Give generously with love and gratitude. You are fulfilling life's purpose when you do both. So when I teach and you receive something valuable from me, if you wish to remunerate me, I will gladly accept it. I must live in this world and pay for things just like everyone else. I feel no shame for accepting monetary gifts, especially when I know I've given something valuable to someone. Also, if you feel you are unable to give a monetary gift, then I encourage you to pay it forward by helping someone else in need. If we all work together, we can definitely make the world a better place, one person at a time. Like I've said, we must take care of each other. And money is something that is very tricky that we have to work with, whether we like it or not. It's here to stay. It's here to stay for a while. So we gotta learn to work with it. And like I said, do not feel ashamed for receiving. Do not feel ashamed for giving. And if you don't have the money, for heaven's sakes, do the acts of kindness. Do the acts of service. Because that's how we are all going to care for each other. And that's more important than anything else in this world. So I'm going to step down off my soapbox now. And I want you to have an absolutely wonderful day and give love to everyone. And I'm going to give some love to you. Thank you for listening. Have a fabulous day. If you found this video to be helpful to you, then please like, please share, please subscribe. If you have any ideas or suggestions or comments, please leave a comment. And if you feel that this content was extremely valuable to you and you wish to make a monetary gift or a donation, please feel free to do so by sending an e-transfer to wellinwisdom@hotmail.ca. Thank you so much for watching. You have a great day.